did I. But this is how far we've come. The weaponization of the federal government is real, and it started some time ago. I believe it started during the Obama administration, and there may have been a pause, but I don't think President Trump had enough time to really clean out what had happened the previous 8 years. And then now, it's going full blast with the Biden administration. So this has been a long time coming, Brian. It's not something that just has happened yesterday.
Right. I mean, we're talking about this guy, for example, who's just speaking, Garrett O'Boyle. Garrett O'Boyle fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was in the infantry. Then he decides I'm going to be a police officer, get a master's in criminal justice. And then his goal was to be a special FBI agent, and he was. He saw what was going on there, spoke up, and then had his life destroyed, his background expunged. He has not been paid because he was a whistleblower. You got this guy, Steve Friend. They won't release his records that he has a firearms training, so he can't even get a job at the Department of Agriculture because he's a whistleblower. Marcus Allen, African-American, by the way, whistleblower, FBI operative, a specialist. He's going to be speaking right now. Again, these guys step up. They know they're going to have their day in the limelight to tell their story, and the FBI doesn't care. Doesn't that blow you away that the FBI doesn't care that they are punishing whistleblowers?
Yeah. And look, the problem is that the FBI, DOJ, they work for the executive branch and the President of the United States. And like I said, those branches of government, the upper echelons, and I'm not talking about the rank and file. The rank and file are good people trying to protect America every single day. But the upper echelon, the ones that control, the FBI, are political in nature, and there's no doubt about it. Look what happened to President Trump. The entire Russia collusion hoax. Everybody knew that was a hoax, and he started an investigation to try to delegitimize a sitting United States president simply because they did not agree with that president's views, and they were from a different political party. And so it's very dangerous. It's something that you see in third world countries, and I'm very happy that Jim Jordan is doing the job he's doing, exposing what's exactly going on in some of our departments.
How often does that happen when this woman like Stacey Plaskett sees these FBI agents there to tell their story, sees how they're being retaliated against, and just brings up something totally different that has nothing to do with this case or these stories, and, of course, brings race into it? How often does that happen in these hearings? Because I don't, I'm on the air, and I'm not, a lot of this stuff's on C-SPAN.
Yeah, well, listen, they'll do that in order to get their 30 seconds, and then that's what will be shown on the major media outlets. Not what the testimony was, not what the abuses are, but really this kind of sidebar to really kind of take you off on a different tangent, and then that's what the media, the mainstream media, is going to be using to try to educate the American people. And so that's the problem that we have, Brian. We have a willing media that is covering up for the abuses of this administration, covering up for what's really right in front of their eyes, and not informing the American people, which is, like a free press is critical to America, is critical to our freedom. But a free press means that it's free, that it's not siding with one side or the other. It's not trying to cover up stuff. And you before on the break, you had 1974, the Watergate investigation. You had a couple of reporters that looked at a wisp of smoke, this break-in, and said, hey, there must be a fire there. Today, reporters have raging Code 1 fire right in front of them, and their question is, what fire? All right. So, that's the difference between the media journalism today and the journalism that you had back in the 70s and 60s, and right up until, the century.
Yeah, and by the way, this guy, Marcus Allen, he's speaking now and says that there's a crackdown on people with conservative views inside the FBI. For the longest time, conservatives were the ones who considered law and order, always had the cops back, and they had vice versa, and to the point, and the military too. But they're going out of their way to change that. And now you have a legitimate crime crisis. Defund and defame the police. According to the National Fraternal Order of Police, in 2023, 99 officers have been shot, 10 been killed. The amount of officers shot in line of duty is up 57% from 2020. So we got a huge problem in this country, and I thought we were beginning to turn the corner on it. Do you have any reason to believe we are?
At this point, no. I mean, I think, look, the narrative of defunding the police, I don't think is a very popular one. And so the Democrats even started to back away from
Cory
the
Bush
defunding
still
the
says
police.
it.
Well, I know, but really most mainstream Democrats have backed away from it. Look, we're going to pass a resolution expressing our support for local law enforcement and condemning efforts to defund or dismantle the police. We're going to do that today. We passed the H.R. 2494, the Police Act of 2023, which says that any migrant who assaults a police officer, that's a deportable offense. And the Federal Law Enforcement Officer Services Weapon Purchase Act, it means that a retiring officer can go ahead and purchase their weapons. Those are the things that we're passing this week. This is Law Enforcement Week, and we're celebrating that. And we certainly support our local officers and our police officers. One other stat that's really kind of troubling for me is that the Department of Justice released a report in December showing that as crime was skyrocketing across the United States, federal arrests actually decreased by 35%. So what in the heck are they doing at the FBI? Are they just targeting their political opponents and not really looking at criminals? And again, all of this comes from the top. Brian, this is not the rank and file members. The top has been weaponized. The top has been politicized, and they're driving the bus right now.
Right, and these whistleblowers, if any FBI agent is upset about the way they're conducting their business, the way the Peter Strzok's, the Andy McCabe's and others, the Lisa Page and all these others, they're watching now, and they're finding out these stories. These decorated agents, this guy, Marcus Allen's got his security clearance taken away and his license to carry a gun. They're just denying it. So when he goes to apply for another job, he can't get it, and he's got to tap into his retirement. And people listening right now who don't know it, FBI agents, it's not a big salary, right? You work, there's only 35,000 of them. You're working nonstop, very serious cases. You don't do it to be rich. You don't become cops to be rich. You really can't wait. You can't miss too many paychecks. And this guy's, by doing the right thing, they're getting totally screwed.
Correct. And what we hope, though, is that this will bring more whistleblowers to the forefront and go against their leadership. And understanding that they may place themselves, at risk. And it's tough. And, this is a tough ask because, you're talking about people, folks with families, and they have to feed their children and put food on the table. And it's tough to ask. But the only way that we're going to defeat this is if more and more of these whistleblowers come forward and tell us exactly what's going on at the FBI.
But you guys need a hammer. Congressman, you guys need a hammer to get their aid back, get their clearance back.
But remember, Brian, we can pass all kinds of laws here in Congress. The only thing that's going to change is when we have a different president. Because the DOJ and the FBI work for the President of the United States. And the only way that this can happen, the only way we can really rectify this and clean house is to have the presidency. So we need to win the presidency in 2024. That's a different branch of government. We can pass all kinds of laws here. And, by the way, who enforces the laws that we pass? The same DOJ and the FBI that we're talking about, okay? And so we can pass a zillion laws here, and unless they enforce it, the federal government, the administrative branch can just thumb their nose at us and say, no, I don't think we're going to do that. Look what's happening at the border, for God's sakes. Well, there are laws that prohibit what exactly is happening at the border, yet they continue to do it. Why? Because they know the DOJ and the FBI are not going to do anything. They're not going to enforce the laws that we passed.
And they keep saying things like, well, they need comprehensive insurance and comprehensive reform, and Congress has dropped the ball. It has nothing to do with it. That is not stopping you from enforcing the border. So that is a total head fake. Congressman Carlos Gimenez is our guest, and we're just going over what's happening. Now, if I am Christopher Wray and I have an ounce of integrity, I'm watching this, and I'm making sure all these whistleblowers are protected, all their rights are restored, all their benefits are restored, their weapons permits are restored. So until that time, if they want to continue and they want to move on, they're allowed to get their reputations back. That he cannot stay silent in listening to this. If not, he's got to present himself and tell me why each one of these men don't deserve their job back and don't deserve them protection. But I want to move on and talk about some other things that are happening, one of which is a Durham report. It is released. It proves there was no collusion. It proves the $30 million for the Mueller report and $6.5 million for the Durham report. And the Horowitz investigation all show no collusion with Trump and Russia. No apology for those who promised there was. and wants to diminish the dorm's conclusions. Here's Adam Schiff, who should be ashamed to show his face, instead is running for Senate. Cut 3.
Their response to this big disappointment for Trump and for the MAGA crowd, let's go after Adam Schiff. Let's go after the person they most view as standing up for the rule of law, as standing up against the Trump and MAGA world, leading the first impeachment, participating in the January 6th committee. That's what this is about. Those Republican members who lack the courage.
Is that what this is about? Is that because you guys are looking to get him kicked out of the House?
Yeah, I think what this is about, we're searching for the truth. I know, look, I knew the truth back in 2016. It was obvious that there was the Democrat National Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign that actually was colluding with the Russians. They're the ones that produced the report. They're the ones that paid Russian informants. It wasn't Republican money that did that. And then all of this was circular in nature. And so, again, it was a complicit, compliant press that wanted to believe all this and probably even were part of this entire scenario. It was FBI agents and DOJ that wanted to damage, the President of the United States, delegitimize the President of the United States to set up a victory for Joe Biden in 2020. It was Adam Schiff, knowing that he lied to the American people time and time and time again, and now that all of it's come to light that he did lie to the American people time and time again. Look, these people have no shame, Brian. They're not going to sit down there and they're not going to apologize. They're going to double down, and they have a compliant, willing press that will be on their side and tell their side of the story, even though that press knows pretty well that whatever Adam Schiff is saying is a lie. Whatever the president is saying is a lie. Whatever Mayorkas is saying is a lie. We have, incident after incident, example after example of how they lie to the American people. But this press, this media is compliant. This media is part of the entire, apparatus. And so, again, it doesn't surprise me what Adam Schiff's going to say. He's never going to admit that he's wrong, for God's sake.
But you think he'd hide his head? You think he would just keep his head down?
No. He's not going to hide his head. He's going to come out and say that we're all a bunch of MAGA Republicans. Well, listen, I am a make America great American. Absolutely. I am proud of that. I want to make America great. And so, apparently Mr. Schiff doesn't want to make America great. I mean, I guess what kind of America does he want? All right, because when he says MAGA Republican, yeah, I'm a Republican, and I want to make America great. Yep, okay, fantastic. Label me that all day long and twice on Sunday, please.
Right. Here is the debt ceiling. Somehow you guys have gotten leverage in this situation. It seems like he's going to be accepting cuts. He's on with the G7 right now. He's got to be a little bit embarrassed and has to explain himself how we might default on our debt and how we didn't want to deal for the longest time. The G7 is leverage, and the fact that you guys passed something out of the House of what it would take to raise the debt ceiling is additional leverage. Here's the president, cut 20.
I'm confident that we'll get the agreement on the budget, that America will not default. And every leader in the room understands the consequences if we fail to pay our bills.
And he went on to say that, I have in the past accept some work requirement when it comes to welfare, but nothing consequential. So tell me how you think this plays out and when a deal will be done.
Don't know when the deal will be done, how it plays out. I don't know, because like I said, I never trust what the president says. Okay, so if he's saying that he expects something, I'm not sure that he's not going to, retort back to the 14th Amendment. He's got some Democrats on his side saying forget about it and just, impose the 14th Amendment and raise the debt ceiling by yourself, something that's never been done in history, but I wouldn't put it past this president. I would hope that the president would come to the table and negotiate. Look, the House Republicans, we in the House, have already done our job. We have passed a raising of the debt ceiling, but we've also need some spending cuts to go along with it. Whatever comes back, needs to be voted again by this conference and Congress, and so it has to pass 218 members. And so we have faith that Kevin McCarthy is carrying the ball for Congress, at least for the House of Representatives, and we hope that the president, will come to his senses and make some of these cuts, which are just common sense cuts.
And the thing is, you don't even have to believe in Congressman